If you thought the Bone Temple was a bridge to the finale, you haven't been paying attention to the clues Alex Garland left us. He didn't just see a sequel, we saw a shift in the entire biology of the franchise. Everyone is talking about the ending. Jim is back, Samson is awake. When Samson stood up, when he looked around with the newfound consciousness, the other infected didn't bow to him, didn't follow him, they attacked him. This shatters the popular zombie king theory immediately. Samson isn't the new alpha, he is a biological abomination. The rage virus knows he is broken and wants to purge him. This changes the entire landscape of 28 Years Later Part 3. We aren't looking at a simple war between humans and infected, we are looking at a chaotic landscape where no one belongs. Spike and Kelly are safe for now, but they left the most vulnerable asset in the world behind on Holy Island. And right now we have the potential for two different monsters to be let loose on the map. Welcome back to Atomic Cult Media. I'm Wes. Let's talk about the end of the world. There were a lot of theories about Samson being the king of the infected, but the Bone Temple showed us the exact opposite. He's a pariah. He is too infected for humans to trust and too human for infected to tolerate. This leads to what I'm calling the antibody theory. The rage virus is a hive mind biological imperative. Its only goal is to spread. By treating Samson, Dr. Kelson didn't just cure a man, he created a virus within the virus. Samson is now a threat to the rage virus. So what is the motivation in part 3? He's alone at the Bone Temple, hunted by his own kind. Now I've seen theories that he knows where the baby is. I don't really buy that. He doesn't have a GPS, but he does have memory. The treatment gave him consciousness. And the last thing he connected with, the last thing that gave him purpose was Isla the baby. He might not know where she is, but he knows she exists. This makes Samson a terrifyingly wild card. He isn't a mindless zombie anymore. He is a creature searching for the only thing in the world that might be like him. He is searching for a connection. In a movie script, that search usually leads to one place, the beginning. But Samson might not be the only thing moving across the map. If Samson is rejected by the infected, the story still needs a leader infected. The vacuum is there, and this brings us to the biggest theory currently circulating, the resurrection of Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal. A lot of us are assuming he died when the infected swarmed him, but in horror, no body equals no death sometimes. Think about the imagery of his final scene, crucified upside down. That is a resurrection setup if I've ever seen one. Throughout the movie, Jimmy displayed a psychosis that mirrored the infected perfectly. The hallucinations, the volatile rage, the complete lack of empathy. The theory is that while the virus rejected Samson for being too weak, too human, it will embrace Jimmy for being strong. If the rage bonds with Jimmy's pre-existing psychosis, he becomes the true alpha. He becomes the general that Samson failed to be. Now, unlike Samson, Jimmy doesn't know about the baby or Holy Island, but he knows Spike and Kelly escaped them. If his motivation is revenge or simply expanding his territory, he is going to be hunting. This sets up a massive potential collision. You have Samson traveling alone searching for meaning, and you have Jimmy Crystal potentially leading a swarm searching for blood. And somewhere in the middle are our heroes. And this brings us to the cottage. Spike and Kelly are physically safe. They made it to Jim, but let's look closely where they ended. Cillian Murphy's Jim isn't alone. He is raising a daughter, presumably his and Selena's. And he isn't teaching her how to shoot or farm. He is teaching her history, specifically the history of fascism. This detail is crucial because it tells us Jim's mindset. He knows the uninfected factions, like the Jimmies, and the infected are two sides of the same coin. Mindless mobs following a violent impulse. He is trying to inoculate his daughter against the ideology. This creates a central conflict for Part 3. Spike knows he left his father, Jamie, and Baby Isla behind on Holy Island. He knows monsters are out there. Spike has to ask Jim to do one thing Jim refuses to do. Go back out there. Jim is a protector. He kept his daughter safe for however long she's been around by staying put at their cottage. To a father protecting his child, Spike's request is insanity. Why risk the only good thing left in the world to save a stranger? Unless Spike plays the trump card, the cure. If Spike explains that baby Isla was born to an infected mother, that she might be the biological key to ending the rage, Jim faces an impossible choice. Does he hide and let the world die, or does he risk his daughter's safety for the chance of a future? The drama of the first act won't be fighting zombies. It will be Spike trying to convince the history teacher that sometimes you have to repeat history to save the future. While Spike argues with Jim in the cottage, the clock is ticking on Holy Island. We have to talk about Jamie, Spike's dad. You haven't seen him since the first 28 years later. And let's remember who he was. He wasn't just a dad, he was a complex guy. He was teaching his son the ways of the world. He was having an affair, and when Spike dropped off baby Isla, he wanted to go back for Spike, but was cut off by the tide. He wasn't in the Bone Temple at all. He's been off screen this whole time, presumably protecting the baby on the island. In part 3, he is the sole line of defense for the most important child on Earth. This is a massive redemption arc setup. He couldn't save his wife, he couldn't save his son, but he can save the baby? But he might get help. We are overlooking one loose thread. Kathy, the pregnant woman who escaped the Jimmies. Her fate was left ambiguous. My prediction is that she is the Paul Revere of this movie. If she made it to the coast, she is the one who will make it to Holy Island or run into Jamie to deliver the warning. The Jimmies are coming. This turns the finale into a potential siege. Jamie holding the line on the island, waiting for the cavalry, Spike and Jim to arrive, while the threat of Samson or Jimmy looms on the horizon. Alex Garland loves a convergence ending. Part 3 will likely end where the trilogy began, on the coast. You have the human fascism of Jimmy Crystal. You have the biological fascism of the Rage. And standing against them is Jim, the guardian of history. And I don't think Jim survives this trip. The big question is, does he leave the cottage for the hope of a cure, or does he resist getting involved until the war comes to his doorstep? If the theme is passing the torch, Jim has to make the ultimate sacrifice. He has spent 28 years running from rage. I think part 3 ends with him finally standing his ground. Not to save himself, but to buy time for the next generation, Isla and his daughter, to escape. This is the board for the final game. The pieces are scattered, but the narrative is pulling them toward the same checkmate. Does Jim leave the cottage? Does Samson find the connection he's looking for? And most importantly, does Jamie finally get a win after being stuck on that island for an entire movie? Let me know your predictions for the next 28 years later in the comments below. And if you think I missed a clue somewhere, timestamp it for me. And I'll see you in the next one.